Hey everyone, today we're going to be looking at the new Sol Planner 4 walkthrough and guide to give you guys all the details you need to get the best out of this weather planner. This obviously comes with the latest version of Sol and Pure, so if you know how to use this you will get the best out of both of those products. I'm also going to be showing you how to go through all the range settings as well, and also how to set the timed weather up so you can get the best out of your sim racing. Before we do that though, we have got a car and here it is. This is brand new, just released. This is the BMW 328 Mille Miglia from 1939. 97 brake horsepower, it does 97 miles an hour, only weighs 750 kilograms, but it's completely gorgeous and that's why I picked it for this video. This is a completely free mod, the link will be in the description. This is by Macedo STI and it's a Forza conversion. It comes with 8 skins including this absolutely gorgeous green. I do like featuring cars that you want to add to your collection, and this is definitely one of them. It's just such a gorgeous shape and obviously very iconic. This car doesn't come with that many extras because it is a Forza conversion, but it does have the rear wheel arch that you can change. You can take the cover off pressing your numpad buttons. Remember, they are also changeable in your content manager CSP settings. So if you press numpad 1, it changes that. The car sounds great, and of course it's not too fast, but it looks fantastic. So really good for those historic racing if that's what you're into. Interior wise, it's done really well too. So now that we've got the car, a very quick note about the track. This is the prior 2023 Red Bull F1 update. It's in my last video, so do check that out on the channel and support all the modders today when you drop onto those download pages. So let's bring the Sol Planner up, and this is Sol Planner 4 and that's what we're going to be looking at today. So before we start, it's also worth reiterating what I said earlier on. Whether you're running Pure or whether you're running just Sol on its own and you've installed either of those, this Sol Planner does come with those. So this is Sol Planner 4, and actually Sol will start to be phased out and Pure will become the new de facto standard. So this does come with the latest version of Pure as well. To begin with then, let's look at these areas at the top. You can see you've got red and green arrows. These are for different presets that you can save and load into Sol. So if you set up a full weather complex system here and you want to use that again, you can save it and import it and export it. All of these instructions, by the way, are in the planner details that come when you download Sol or Pure. There's actually a document from Peter that goes through that, and they're really useful to read. Next to the import and export settings, you've also got the sun angle and the moon angle. This is really useful because remember that Sol Weather Planner is doing a full solar system recreation, so it will show you where the sun and moon are, and that's really an important part of the weather. Next to that, you've also got the wiper control. So if that's on -2, that is switching the wiper control off totally. If you've got it on -1, you've got auto wipers, so that means that's controlled by the Sol Weather Planner with CSP. 0 is on manual wipers because some people like to put them on manually, and then you've got different speeds. Now if you look at the car here, it's only got 1 speed, so it doesn't matter which number I put it on, it's only going at the same rate. But some cars do have different speed wipers, so do check that out. There is also some settings in Content Manager that Peter does point out, so do check those out too. Next up, we have this setting that could be quite confusing because it just says medium on it at the moment. This is the setting that dictates how difficult it is for the car to drive in rain. So if you have that on number 4, you can see from Peter's excerpt here from his instructions, it's going to be almost impossible for you to drive your car in that full heavy rain. If you put it all the way down to number 1, you're only going to be driving in 10% of that rain, even though on the screen it will look like it's still heavy rain. So for all those people saying, well, I can't drive in heavy rain with the new CSP preview versions, you can, you just need to change that setting to number 1. That of course is all personal preference with the extended physics that you might want on too. But moving back to the planner, you've got a reset Sol button there, which is obviously quite important if you want to change these settings all back to original. And then we've also got some loaded preset areas here, so you can actually save 5 different presets. These link up with the arrows above, and if you highlight one of them and press the box, if it goes onto red, that's the preset that you're going to use. So that's all really useful to customize this full planner. Next up we have these really important timestamp settings. It's really easy to change. You just click on the arrows. If you click on the end of the arrows, it moves further than if you click at the bottom of the arrow. But you can see here I'm just moving through from 2021 to 2023. It actually goes through the seasons as well. It's really useful to see this and to understand how you can change the look and feel of a Assetto Corsa. You can also speed these up and down as well, so you can speed time up, and I'm going to go through that in a moment. But these are all really useful, especially the time one at the top there too. So again, if you move the time one, you can see the red bar is also moving. You can see the shadows moving on the car, but the red bar is moving just there. There are actually 3 different ways that this planner works, and I'm going to go through those now, and you'll see that you can actually set up then really easily the way that you want a Assetto Corsa to work, because I do think that a lot of people know how to change the weather on this, but maybe not how to get the absolute best out of your racing environment. So we've got these 3 buttons on the side, and we're going to look at them in order. So this top one here is a full day plan, and it really does what it says on the tin. You can click on any of these boxes here and put whatever weather you want in there. Then as the time moves on in the daytime, you will actually see that that weather will change. Now, because it's running at just about normal time, it will take a long time to change. So this is great if you're doing a 24-hour race, I suppose, and wanting to simulate that. But actually what most people do is put items in these boxes and then just move the time in the day. And you can do that by changing the time on the right hand side, or by changing that red line. But you can also speed time up with these buttons here. So you can see it's gone from 1 times to 11 times, and then if you press at the end of the arrow, remember that moves things more quickly, you can see the time actually changing, and that is going up quite quickly. The red line is moving. So you can also see that the plan duration underneath now is saying 12 minutes 50. If I make it 311 times, it's now 4:37. So that means that you will go through the whole cycle of the day and night weather in 4 minutes 37 with what that plan duration is now saying. And of course you can put it all the way back down to 1 times, and then it will just go at normal speed. That's normal daytime speed. So you've got a lot of flexibility there about how that part of the plan is going to work. So that is the full day plan, and that's pretty self-explanatory. The next one is a timed plan, and this one works in a very different way. So you can see that you've got a number in each one of these boxes. This number is how many minutes that square is going to take, and you can see you've got plan duration now at 45 minutes. What we can do is move those down. So if I move that down to 1 minute and carry on going across and moving them down to 1 minute, you'll see the plan duration is actually decreasing on the right hand side. So you could actually have all of these boxes taking 1 minute, and then that would mean that the whole weather cycle would only take 9 minutes. You can also press play there, so if you move the yellow line to the left hand side, you'll see it's moving quite quickly. You can press play, pause and stop. And so this section is a really simple way of customizing the weather to your race. If you've got a 9-minute race or a 20-minute race, you can actually customize all these with the times, and you can extend the weather in different categories for exactly the length of your race. And lastly, we've got timestamp mode, which is a new mode actually in some of the later version of this Sol planner. And this again does what it says on the tin, and that means that you can choose the time that you want certain weathers to start and stop. But it's really important to understand this is directly correlated to the time and date you've got at the top right hand corner. Also, unlike the previous 2 ways of setting the weather up, the timestamp mode does not loop. So the previous 2 ways of setting weather up do, the timestamp mode does not. So again, this is all directly correlated. All of these times that you've got here are directly correlated to this top right hand corner and what you've got set up there. So if you get any problems where something's not working quite correctly, then it's probably you've got a disconnect between those 2 parts there. So now we've gone through the 3 different ways of setting up your weather planner so you can actually have continual weather in a race. Let's look at the different kinds of weather, and I think most of you will know what these are, but I'm just going to go through them very quickly. We've obviously got some random ones at the top here, which are really interesting if you want to do a race where you've got an online race and you want some random weather, so everybody has to make the same decisions, especially with pit stops and things like that. You've got all sorts of different kinds of sunny weather. You've got haze, mist, fog and dust in this section here, which are really useful. The section below, the rain section, remember you only get this if you've got a Patreon CSP version. Sol or Pure does not bring rain into Assetto Corsa, it only facilitates the management of it. It's actually brought in with a CSP preview version, and the latest version is 2.18 at the moment, 1.80 2.18. There is also, of course, the thunder pieces underneath there and the wind ones, but then there's snow and sleet. Do remember as well, snow and sleet are not fully implemented yet, so if they're not working on your machine, don't worry, they're not fully implemented. So I'm going to talk about rain now, particularly with this weather planner and how it works. And again, there's been some changes. If you're coming back to Assetto Corsa after a few months or even a few years, you'll find this is all very different. So first thing I'm going to do is just choose some rain, and I had some light rain on, then medium rain, and then I'm going to put heavy rain on. So what you will start to see is you'll start to see the windscreen wipers come on the car as the management of CSP and Sol start to work together there, and also you'll start to see rain at the front of the screen, but also starting to appear on the ground. Now when you choose these different rain presets on the left, this right hand section here, the red line is what it's going to work up to. So I've put it on heavy rain, and that means the rain amount in heavy rain is 80 in that red bar there. The blue line will slowly rise up to that as time goes on until it's met it, and then it will stay there. You've got probability and a variance percentage there as well. And then underneath that you've got two really important pieces, which is wetness and puddles. If they're on -1 as they are now, you see the blue bar's gone up a little bit, that means that Sol and CSP are working together to automate what they will be. But you can change them manually, and I'm going to show you how to do that in a moment. Humidity and fog percentage are really important. You can change those manually, and as you can see as I move this slider up here, you can see the fog appearing in the background and then slowly into the foreground. Again, if you put it right down to the bottom, it's being managed then by CSP and Sol. And also you've got wind strength, wind direction, and ambient temperature and road temperature. They're very important because you've got to remember as well that there are physics in the way that all of the wetness and the puddles dry off on the track. So if you've got those higher or lower, that will have an impact on what is going on there. It's really clever stuff. Now I talked about this wetness percentage and puddle percentage. If you were to click on those bars there manually, and then take the weather out, so we've got heavy rain there at the moment, but let's put sunshine on there. This is how you get either photos that you want to take or indeed races that you want to run, where you can remove the weather and you can have it really clear, but you can manually put wetness and puddles up to the top or wherever you want to maintain that look and feel of wetness on the track. Now at the moment I've got these right at the top there, but you can actually move the sliders individually as well. So they do react to each other, but they are not linked. You can move them individually. So if you are looking for screenshots where you've got puddles on the ground but it's sunny around, this is how you do it. So let's move these bars manually and see the effects on the ground, and you'll see it's quite striking, especially when you're moving the wetness one right down to the bottom. But if I was to scan around, you would still see that there's puddles at the side of the track as well. Do remember the latest versions of CSP and Sol and Pure working together as well actually put the puddles at the lowest part of the track. So instead of just being scattered everywhere like they used to be in the older versions, they are now in the lowest part of the track. So you can actually have almost a dry track but still with some outline puddles, and I think that's a massive improvement with the way that it used to be displayed. It's much more realistic, and if it's a LiDAR track it will use that information, which is really cool. Let's move on the inside of the car, and it's just a quick one that if you do have a mod where the windscreen wipers aren't clearing the rain on the outside or the inside, that is down to the car mod. It's nothing to do with CSP, Sol or Pure. Okay, I thought lastly I'd just put all of this information together and do a very quick time lapse of this beautiful car on this updated track, and just to show you how everything can look. Now I have sped this video up a little bit, that's why the windscreen wipers are going crazy, but you get the idea of all the great effects that you can use, especially with time and also the weather effects themselves all being moved together. So let's take a look. Well guys, that's the end of the video, and I hope this has been a useful guide that you can keep referring back to check how to get the best out of Soul Planner 4, whether you're using Soul or Pure. Thank you so much for watching and all the support. I've just gone over 400 videos released. I couldn't do it without you guys. Thanks again, and I'll see you all very soon.